Hi, all. Welcome back to the Fangirl Fantasy Podcast. I am Julie Russell, and today I have another online social friend joining the podcast today. Please welcome Racquel Goldy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining.
Of course. Thank you for having me. And social friend is so funny. I have so many of those, and I feel like we've met in real life and we haven't, but 2021.
I mean, we've only met, I think, since October, like beginning the COVID.
Was it October or was it? I thought it was summer
Maybe a little
now.
before, maybe summer.
Yeah, I think it was summer because that's when it actually might have been before because I think that's when I first did Eric's show. I did it in like maybe May or June, I feel like. So we've been almost friends a year-ish.
Wow,
We're
crazy.
legit.
So a mutual friend of ours, Eric, shout out Eric, had a podcast that he was doing. Um, and it was doing so well on social media. I was like watching it on Twitter. And then I saw he had you on, and it was all
Mhm.
about talking about like One Direction and being a fan, and like you're kind of being like in the middle of like that pandemonium, like when it was
Mhm.
really, really big. And I was watching it and I was like, oh my God, like same, like except for the Jonas Brothers and stuff like that. And so then I reached out to Eric to connect us, and I sent you
Yeah.
some fangirl merch and all that. And that's kind of where this relationship started.
Yeah. It's so funny. I mean, I'm really lucky that I was a fangirl and started off as a fangirl and then have been working in the music industry for 5 years. So it's just so crazy how it comes full circle, really.
Definitely. So, and then we learned we kind of had a lot in common. So you were in radio
Hmm.
but you were on air down in
Yes.
Florida. So give us your
Hmm.
background on in radio.
Yeah. So I went to school for journalism. I always knew I wanted to be on air or on camera, but in music, I feel like that's the biggest misconception when you go to school for journalism. At least in my program, we didn't really have entertainment classes. It was just like hard news reporting.
Yes.
And I knew I did not want to be on the news because it's so depressing and sad every day. Like all my friends who are news reporters, I bow down to because I don't know how they go into work day after day after day and can handle talking about all this. So I always knew, even in college, I was like, I'm going to host news. I'm going to do something with music, something like that. And yeah, I mean, I grew up on, TRL like you did, I'm sure, as well. And we are so lucky to have been able to witness that. And I was really inspired by that. And I first started as a country music correspondent for a digital website called Stage Right Secrets. I worked for them for about 3 years and basically was living in Nashville covering country music, doing all the award shows and everything. Then I transitioned into sports actually, and I worked for the Florida Panthers, the NHL team down here. And
Hmm.
I was their digital host and their in arena host for 2.5 seasons. And then I transitioned into radio, which I love radio. Radio is so fun. I studied radio hardcore in college. So yeah, I auditioned and I reached out to them and I ended up being the afternoon girl on Revolution 93.5 in Miami. So it was so fun. I got to cover EDM and everything. My show was sponsored by a day club. So I got to be at all the pool parties and interview everyone from like the Cheat Codes and Martin Garrix and all the Dutch DJs. And it was just such a good time. I love EDM music and I have for so long that it was just such a fun time and I learned so much and I was really really lucky because we were an independent station so I could pretty much do whatever I wanted. Like
Hmm.
my PD, when I went into that job, I told him I was like my strong suit is interviewing artists. I went to school for journalism. I've been doing it for so long. And he was like, okay, anyone you want to interview, like, just ask me beforehand and I'm down. I'm like, okay, cool. And it actually ended up working out because when we partnered with the day club for my show, the day club pretty much gave the A-OK, any single person that plays here that you want to interview, go for it. So
Wow.
I got to interview. I mean, it was really, really good experience to do that. And then unfortunately, COVID hit and the station being independent, really took a hit and we were all let go. Almost all of on air was let go except for the CEO pretty much of the station. So I've kind of had to pivot and figure out what I wanted to do. And I mean, I got super into K-pop and that's why I'm on today. So the past year I've pretty much been head dove head first into K-pop and is like studying the culture and just all the different groups and the music. And yeah, I mean, it's been a blessing in disguise, obviously, because I'm learning a whole new culture and all about new music. And it's just been really great. And that's kind of where my YouTube now has come into play. And it's been really fun, and just it's kept me busy for sure too.
Yeah, I mean, I've checked out your YouTube channel. Like some of your videos like go off.
Yeah,
Not
I
even
mean,
just with the
so
content, not even
what
just with the
happened?
content you deliver, but with the views.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, honestly. So what happened is obviously I was let go, and it was kind of one of those things that it's out of your control, right? So I wasn't having a full on nervous breakdown when I got let go. I actually was really lucky. I worked pretty much a whole month longer than a lot of my friends at other radio
Mhm.
stations. So it was kind of preparing. Like I did my air check. I knew it was
Yeah.
coming. I was like, all right, I have my air check. I got to do all this really cool stuff. It was actually crazy because obviously being an EDM station, Ultra is kind of like the Super Bowl for us. And everything got canceled the week before Ultra. I had organized all these interviews or press passes. I was handling artist liaison, stuff too at the station. So I got us to be like media partners for WMC and just all this crazy stuff that I'd always wanted. And it just all came crashing down. But it wasn't because of me. It wasn't something that I did.
Yeah, of
The
course.
world is in a horrible state. There's a global pandemic. So I think just looking at things that way, I wasn't super upset, depressed. Yeah, I was stressed and I've had my moments and, been like, what am I doing with my life? But again, it's beyond my control. So I think that's something I've definitely learned. And again, had to learn to pivot. So yeah, I mean, the YouTube channel is crazy because I started doing videos with my friend Brooke, and those videos popped off. We had like 500,000 views almost on one of our videos, I think, or 300,000, something
Wow.
ridiculous. And, we kind of really were just like, all right, let's see where this takes us. And we were just kind of learning and reacting. And we did reaction videos. And then we started doing some interviews. And then she ended up moving to LA.
Mhm.
So I, made my own channel, and I've only had my channel for a month, and I've over 700 subscribers right now.
Wow.
And that's insane. I mean, it's crazy because I also have a podcast, and that's been a slow and steady rise because we're making a whole brand, and that is
Yes.
hard to do. And I get excited when there's like 300 views on a YouTube video with that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then I go to my YouTube, my personal YouTube with the K-pop stuff, and that has like one of my videos just almost hit 20,000 views, I think. So it's just so crazy to separate. You definitely have to separate in your head mentally the niche of everything and kind of be like, okay, that's really good for that. That's good for that. But yeah, it's been really fun. I mean, it really is opening me up to a whole new, I mean, genre of music, but the other side of the world, right? Because if you look at
Yeah.
the analytics, even on my channel, it's like views are top US and then South Korea. So that's super cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's really, really fun. It's so fun. And the reaction videos are super fun too because they're so ahead of the time with the CG and the music videos and everything
Yes.
over there that you watch a music video and it's like watching a movie. And to actually react on camera is scary because you don't know what's happening. I'm live reacting, and you have to be kind of conscious of what you're saying because the fans are very passionate and
Very.
you don't want to say something wrong. And I think that was when we first started doing videos, when we didn't really know anything deep about K-pop, we were very nervous about getting attacked or anything online. But I think we took a deep breath and we were like, all right, we're good. Like we come from media. We're not going to say anything offensive. And I'm not saying that we're doing it, it's fake or what I'm saying is fake, but you got to be respectful too. And I think that's something that people really appreciate, at least with my content as well as work separate content too now, is we are learning the culture. I mean, I'm trying to learn the language, like I'm taking lessons. So it's definitely one of those things too that people appreciate, especially with everything going on right now, in America. And just,
Hmm.
I mean, even, BTS on the Grammys, like everyone's still kind of warming up to, I feel like K-pop, which is so ridiculous because
It's huge.
it's music. It's music.
Hmm.
Music is a universal language. I don't care if you don't understand what they're saying. The production aspect of it is so crazy. And a lot of K-pop actually has EDM influences, or a lot of the EDM producers work on K-pop, which I
Good to know.
actually,
I
once
didn't know
digging
that.
into, the music, I figured that out. And I was like, no wonder this makes sense to me.
That's funny. When you guys started doing your reaction videos in the beginning, was it strictly like you guys wanted to dive into K-pop, or were you doing it for other artists too?
It was strictly K-pop. So Brooke had her sister's been super into K-pop for a while, and so is my sister. So I've actually been to a couple K-pop concerts in the past because of my sister. And all these, so the behind me, all these albums, these are all K-pop albums. So
Yeah.
K-pop is still heavily influenced by printing and making physical albums. So, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're literally works of art. So yeah, I mean, we were super into that. And the whole country is pretty much run on the entertainment like industry there. They have got it down to a science. They still have music shows every single day. When the artist has a comeback or drops a, an album or EP, they promote for 2 to 4 weeks on these music programs every single day, almost every single day.
Wow.
And they, winners are announced based on sales and physical album sales. So it's still so prevalent in their lives. I mean, so many people over there, when they're young, they want to be trainees or be idols. And yeah, it's just so interesting to me because here we've just really gone away with that. Like people can be famous by dropping something, an EP in the room, they blow up overnight, and then you don't hear from them for like six
Ever.
years. And that's not how
Yeah.
it is there. Kong Daniel, who's one of my favorite solo artists, he dropped a comeback like I feel like a couple weeks ago, and now he just announced his album is coming out in like a month, and then it's probably going to come out again in 3 months or 6 months. So they're always coming out with music, which
Gotcha.
is so great because here I feel like you drop an album, you hear from someone, and then you don't hear from them for like 4 years. And you're like, where are you? Hello.
Seriously, it's so true. Why do you think their fans are like so passionate? Like, or it is like BTS, it literally is an army.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
it blows me away. Like I like am on Twitter 24/7, but like if I like am just like clicking to read a thread to find more, it's like stream this. Like their
yeah,
fans are everywhere, and I love it. It's amazing. They are literally their own promo team.
yeah.
But how do you think it got so big and so strong?
Yeah. Well, now I'm definitely obviously a huge, fan myself.
Yeah,
And I'm definitely one of these people. I listen to everything. So I even listen to the R&B like scene over there is crazy. The rap scene. I mean, the talent that comes out of South Korea is out of control. It is so insane. And I interviewed my friend Josh Cumby, who has worked a lot and produced a lot over there. And he's like, Racquel, it's so insane. When I go over there, I never want to leave because the talent is like nothing I've seen before. We have to catch up. We're behind, like pretty much saying we're
yeah,
behind. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's just because again, they've got it down to a science. They know how to appeal to an audience and they're so talented. Again, it's the spectacle of it too. That's why I love K-pop. I grew up competing dance and competitive dancing my whole life. I wanted to move to LA and be a dancer when I was 18 and got injured. So that kind of, took a back
hmm
seat and I transitioned kind of into journalism and everything. But I think it's because they still put on a show and they again know how to market to an international audience without even intentionally marketing to an international audience, if that makes sense. Because
hmm
even for me, like I had been to K-pop concerts and stuff, like I said, but I didn't really understand it. And then once I did a deep dive and understood it and realized, there's a trainee process, and then some people train for 8 years and are never put in an idol group, and then they kind of do their own thing, or they don't. But I think too, I resonated that with growing up competitively dancing, and I feel like a lot of people are probably the same way as well. You work so hard for something and you become attached to people, and a lot of agencies and companies out there, they will kind of pre-debut the trainees as rookies, so you get attached from a before they even debut, and you're like, oh my god, are they going to debut and this, and I don't know. I just think we're really missing the group aspect again over here. So I think that's why people are so attached. I mean, think about how passionate we were about One Direction or the Jonas Brothers or NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. Like it is totally filling that void, and I think that's why people are so passionate and attached. Again, the production, the spectacle, everything they do is so insane too. So it's feeding to that part that we're still missing here as well. I think that's why too.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there's no like bands like that anymore. Like
No, there's
there's
not. I
nothing to
mean, if you watch
there's no heartthrobs.
no, and if you watch their award show performances, it is the most insane thing you've ever seen in your entire life. It is one of the award shows was like 6 hours this year because they didn't need an audience, obviously, because of COVID. And they did full on, I mean, honestly, what you could compare to like Cirque du Soleil or like Broadway performances. It was in like literally fireworks and production and like it was insane. I was watching this and I was just like, is this really happening right now? Like, when can I see this in real life? Because our award shows were definitely not like
Nothing
that.
like that.
So, and I've been to my fair share of covering and everything. And yeah, I mean, they just get it there. They really do. I don't know. I mean, again, they're so ahead with like technology too. And I've listened to some podcasts where songwriters and producers have been interviewed who work over there. And I don't know, they're just not afraid to go for it and be ahead of the game musically and production
Hmm.
wise. And I think that's also why we love it too.
Yeah. So I like discovered One Direction like through Tumblr. That's like how
Hmm.
I like found out about One Direction.
Yeah.
And now people are like discovering music through like TikTok and all of that. But how is everyone discovering this K-pop music? Because they weren't getting radio play. Tumblr's not big anymore, and they were out and selling arenas before TikTok was around. So where was this underground tunnel of like K-pop music coming from, and how were people discovering it?
So Tumblr is still a big place for K-pop
Okay.
being discovered, but like Twitter as well, obviously. I think it just, I mean, YouTube obviously too. YouTube is so big, and something they do really well over there as well is they put out so much content from the groups. So, I mean, one of the groups, NCT, they do like a 24-hour relay cam and they do all this stuff. And now, obviously, because K-pop is so big, I mean, if you watch one BTS video, chances are you're going to stumble upon like 5 other K-pop groups.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really, really big with content. Again, Tumblr, Twitter. I mean, it's like anything else. You stumble upon something and then you kind of go down the rabbit hole. That's literally what happened with me. I
Yeah.
was honestly how I got into K-pop, got into K-pop, I guess, is my sister was watching a music video at home on her TV and I walked and I was like, who are these people? Oh my God, I love them. And she was like, come sit down. Let me introduce you to EXO. And I was like, and like, that's it.
And then you
It
never
was
got
all,
out.
that was down the rabbit hole we went. So I think that's something too. I mean, they're just, again, really smart with the content too. Like they do the rookie stuff. They do all the photo shoots. They do content of vlogs and this and that. I mean, even a lot of the groups do little web dramas, which they put on YouTube. So they'll be acting, and
Wow.
that like kind of introduces you to the band or the group in like a acting kind of, I don't know, it depends on this.
They
Sometimes
do
they
it
do like a
all.
high school
They
thing or a
really do.
college thing. Yeah, it introduces them. So that's definitely how as well. But I would say Twitter, now TikTok too. Every single group has a TikTok, and yeah, I'm on K-pop TikTok, and let me tell you, it's a great place to be.
I'm not. So I'm getting educated right now
Yeah.
because I know how important it is to the fandoms, like to the music industry. Like it's huge. And some friends, I love it that I'm around. And I actually did do a K-pop dance night, and
Oh, so
crazy.
fun.
Like everyone was doing the choreos. They were like
Yeah.
loving it, and it was so much fun. And I've been trying to like educate myself,
Hmm.
but there's like 17 different directions to go. You know, it's
Oh,
like
well, I got you. My sister made me PowerPoints because there's so many different groups. No, it's insane. I mean, especially now because K-pop is blowing up over here. It's
yeah,
always been huge over there. I mean, the groups over there, some groups can literally sell out the Tokyo Dome in for 3 days in like 5 minutes. So it's crazy that it's just now coming over
getting
here. And
big.
I mean,
Yeah.
the radio aspect is just it's going to be an uphill battle. And I've talked about it in many videos before because people always comment and they're like, "Oh my God, you used to be on the radio. Just play it. Why can't you just play the song?" And we're like, "That's not how it
Because
works."
that's
Um,
exactly how it works,
yeah,
actually.
yeah. Like, you can't just be like, "Hi, play this." I'm like, I can't just play. It's whoever. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Um, there's so many people, obviously, music director, PD, anything, whatever. It doesn't work like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's so fun, and I feel like the people who are super into it are also very open minded, and that's definitely something also I'm trying to do with my channel. Is if I can make someone listen to one K-pop song or research it or look into it, then I'm doing my job.
Definitely. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, no. And I have like friends that watch, there's like K-dramas on Netflix and
Oh,
stuff like that
I'm
now.
in it to win it with those. Yeah. The
Yeah.
K dramas are so good and they're way better than anything that's on TV here. It's just like I feel like I'm bashing the US, but it's true. Like it's just so much better.
No,
Like
definitely.
the thing here
Everyone
too
that's
is like
into it loves it. Loves
yeah,
it. Like,
the thing here too is like we love if people like something, if the general public are obsessed with something, we think we should watch 19 more seasons of it, and they don't do that there. They'll do
mhm.
two at most, if two, and then they're like, all right, on to the next show. Like they don't do 1900 seasons of Grey's Anatomy because people love it. Like
Mhm.
on to the next, let's keep it going. It gives the actors and everyone else more work.
But I love watching shows at 19 seasons, so don't do that
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm not that. I like get over it so quickly. That's why I love the K dramas too. I'm like, okay, on to the next. Something more for my ADD. Like, let's more stimulation.
That's amazing. So you've obviously, you've been, your journey to getting into radio and things like that. What was your biggest struggle, do you think, trying to like break into radio or journalism in general?
Radio wasn't radio. I got lucky. It was more so, I think, getting I don't know, showing my worth and realizing my worth because I have gotten so many job opportunities. I guess you can call them jobs, but it's been like, oh, for free or oh, and I'm like, no. And I mean, honestly, I haven't technically had a radio job in a year, but for the first time ever, I turned down a job last week. Finally, I'm got to the point where I was confident enough to do so. And I think if the job opportunity was like 4 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, I'm doing it. This is fine. This is perfect. I need a job. But
Yes.
I have worked 25-hour days and I've done that. And it's not good for your health. And it's really stress can do some crazy things on the body, which I've learned. And I've ended up in the hospital and stuff. But yeah, I think that's been the hardest part is kind of realizing my worth and knowing like, okay, you deserve this much pay and you deserve this, and this is really what you deserve. And I feel like more people need to be that way because I was so scared to ever be like, I want more money or no, this isn't fair. Or because I was like, you're the little blonde girl, like you need
Yeah.
to work your way up. And I'm 28 now, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm not doing that. This is something that I should have done when I was interning or when I was, 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I think that was definitely the hardest part, not necessarily breaking into it. And don't get me wrong, I worked for free. I've done it for years and,
Hmm.
I worked for free probably for 3 years when I first graduated because I needed to get my reel together and build a reel and show all my experience. And even then after jobs after that, I was definitely not getting paid. But,
You should be getting
people
paid.
should get paid. And I think that wasn't just me, that's generally all around. But again, everyone's always like, you need experience, you need experience.
Hmm.
And I feel like we need to change that because it's not fair. And I mean, I was working 3 jobs at one point just to kind of make
Make
money
it.
to survive. And I was still living at home, but just to pay my car payment and stuff. And I feel like no one ever talks about that. And I'm very, very open with educating. If anyone in college comes to me or anyone ever asks me questions, I'm very honest with them about it because I taught dance for 8 years while I was working for the Panthers, while I was working for this website, even when I was at the radio station, I still was teaching dance because I had to.
Because it actually
And
paid you.
yeah, decently. Yeah, which is crazy because I mean, lucky, I grew up competitively dancing and I could actually teach, but it shouldn't be like that. I think
No.
people just see like the Aaron Andrews and people like that and they think they're making so much money and it's like, okay, they are, but again, they've gotten to the point where they have a major contract with a TV network. Like you're not getting paid that in radio.
No.
It's not
But they're
happening.
like,
And
but
you know that
you get to go to free concerts. I'm like, those concerts are not paying my rent.
right, right. I mean, I was lucky that I had 2 show endorsements because I got more money. But I mean, once you pay again, your rent, if you have rent or your car payment or any health insurance, like you have like $5 left. It's crazy. And obviously it's the same thing, the big Ryan Seacrest and Elvis Duran's, like we're not getting those contracts. It's not happening
No.
at first. So yeah, I mean, again, it was a learning experience. I got to learn a lot about radio and refound my love for it. But I'm definitely at the point where I deserve to get paid what
Mm.
we need to get paid for. And I think a lot more people need to fight for that as well. I think that was definitely the hardest part for
Do you
sure.
think because of this break and the time off people have had, I personally think people are going to start doing that more. You're gonna be like, no, like we. Do you? I think
I
people will start fighting
I
for their
don't
money.
know, because I think at the same time, so many people. Here's the thing now: so many people lost their jobs in radio, all over the country, all over. I don't know what's going on overseas, but at least I know almost all of my friends in radio got fired, pretty
Me
much got
too.
let go.
Yeah, me too.
And the problem is now is people are going to be so hungry to get back into it that people are going to take jobs just because they need a job. And now the other problem, which is why I turned down the job last week, is they're trying to combine like 5 jobs into
Into
one,
one.
but
It's
they're not paying you
crazy.
for it. So that's also the issue, going back to the, okay, no, I'm not doing this. I mean, honestly, the job interview, I kid you not, last week, it was going to be like a 25 hour day in market number God knows what. And I'm
What?
coming from a main market of Miami. And I said, no, I was like, I can't. I was like, I respectfully decline. If this was just on air, or if you wanted me to do on air and digital, on air and social, on air and marketing, like I'm down. I'm got you with the social media. But to do 5, 10 jobs, and I get that they're combining jobs. I get it. Listen, I don't want to sound ungrateful or anything like that, because if anyone knows hard work and trying to balance 1,000 things, it's me. But it's not gonna. You're barely gonna be able to even afford rent. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way.
Working like a dog just for nothing.
Yeah, and I've been in the hospital because of stress and what it does to your body. I've seen what it does to your body, and multiple times hospitalized, and like I can't. There's no
It's
way.
not. Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So what is your like goal after, like, when things start opening up? Like, where do you want to
Yeah.
see yourself?
I have no idea, honestly. I was one of these people that I always knew. I was like, I'm going to host E News. E News gets canceled. I'm going to host this. This gets canceled. I mean,
It's
I
just
don't know,
life.
honestly. I would love to get back into radio. It would just be super fun. Or I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's so much opportunity now with just being a content creator, especially like
Hmm.
myself. And with my channel growing, I feel like there's going to be hopefully really big opportunities with me being able to control the narrative. And that excites me. I mean, my podcast as well, we got our first paying sponsor. So
Yay.
we're really developing that brand. And I mean, that would be great if we could just, if I could be my own boss, honestly, that would be amazing. And still being able to do what I love, because we've all had those bosses, especially being in the industry. And it's just so disappointing, I think.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I just don't want that. I've this past year has really helped me figure out what I want and realized how I should be treated. And yeah, I think that's just something we all need to take into consideration, no matter what industry you're in. Just really going for what you want to do and you be happy. I'm a big believer in, if you're doing something you love, it's not work. And I think I had a little taste of that, but because of upper management or anything else, like it was just so taxing on me. And I was like, this is not good, because I'm doing what I love, but I'm so miserable, and I don't want to be like that. And I mean, being able to do what I want to do in the YouTube channel, and now I'm doing a lot of interviews and doing more interviews, and I'm connecting with so many important people over on the other side of the world. Like, who knows what could happen? It's
Yeah.
it's really exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, you right now you are controlling the narrative, and like you
Yeah.
are in control of like what happens next, especially with the amount of views your videos are getting.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Are you monetized?
Not yet. I think I'm almost at the point where I can. The only problem is with reaction videos, you can't monetize because you're using the
The
audio and
video?
video.
Okay.
But once I'm kind of at the point I've like gonna do more content that's not reaction videos once I get the subscriber amount that I
When you
want.
get there,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I'm now, I just started doing interviews on my channel. So
Okay.
I actually interviewed trainees from this company over in South Korea. They partnered with me, and I got to interview 3 trainees, which was so cool, because the trainee process is very hush hush because it's so intense. So the
Mhm.
fact that they were let me talk to them for like 30 minutes, and they were the cutest ever. I'm obsessed with them. It was one of the hardest interviews I've ever done because they don't speak
The
English.
translation?
One of them kind of did, and she tried her best, and it was so cute. But yeah, I mean, we had a translator, and it was crazy because I would ask the question, one of them would answer in English, The other one would answer in Korean. They would translate it back to me. Another one would answer Korean. They would translate it back to me. So it was definitely a long process, but
Wow.
it was really exciting. I mean, again, I've done so many interviews. This was just another form of interview, but it was like a whole new brand new experience, which I loved. I like came out of an
100%.
interview. I was like, wow, that was so cool. Like it was hard. I haven't done
It
something
was
like that hard in
challenging.
forever.
It challenged you to
Yeah.
kind
I
of
was
step
like,
out of your comfort
okay,
zone.
now I want to do more. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I did another interview last night with the super talented singer, songwriter, producer, James Lee, and he was in China. So it was super cool. And we got to talk about all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, I'm honestly connecting and meeting all these people on LinkedIn. Like that's what I've
Okay.
been doing. The interview I did with the trainees, I added the marketing PR head of the company and messaged her, and she messaged me back and said they want to do an interview with me. So LinkedIn is it, guys. Like my one tip for
100%.
today,
I'm obsessed with
add
LinkedIn.
everyone.
You can find anyone that you want.
Oh yeah.
Anyone.
I mean,
All
I've
you need
added
to know
some,
is where they work or what their name is. You don't need
yeah,
any
I've
other
added some
details.
really big people on LinkedIn and they've added me back from in South Korea. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is like intense. Like I have to message them and this is scary, but I'm gonna just do it anyway and see what happens.
That is so funny. Yeah, no, I'm obsessed with LinkedIn, and if you're not on it, you're just missing a whole opportunity of
Oh
networking.
my God. I feel like everyone has to be on it. There's no way people aren't. Come
No,
on.
people are definitely not on it.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually had to make a LinkedIn for my senior portfolio in college. So
I've had
yeah.
mine forever. Yeah, I post on it consistently. I just think it's weird if like you want sponsors for podcasts or if you
Yeah.
want YouTube or anything. That's what I just see it as, and just networking and seeing other people's accomplishments and finally seeing people get hired for jobs. I'm like,
Yeah, you're
yes,
like, yes, there's hope.
people are working again. Like hell yeah. So yeah, but tell everyone where they can watch your reaction YouTube and then find your podcast and all that.
Yeah. So my personal social media is at Racquel Goldy. My YouTube is at Racquel Goldy. Super easy. And then my podcast is Millennial Girls Podcast. So if you go to my social media, you can find everything from there. It's all linked in my bio, basically. And then TikTok, same thing. Racquel Goldy, Clubhouse, LinkedIn. Add me.
Yes.
Slide into my DMs. Let's talk about K-pop. I'll educate
literally,
you guys.
she will tell you all you need to know. But thank you so much for coming on and educating me, because I am
Yes.
listening. You're gonna have to tell me some songs or artists that aren't
I'll
like the
send you my-
mainstream,
I'll send you my
K-pop.
playlist.
Yeah, I'm in. But thank you all again for listening to another episode of the Fangirl Fantasy Podcast, and I will talk to you all next week.